Greetings!
Hi.
This is Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen. This is Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we're here to show you what we got.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week we picked up some decent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mixture, mishmash here and there.
Yes, a mishmash.
And, why don't you get started?
All right, and mine is going to be very light on the movies at first, and then it gets heavy on the movies. So there. But I've got a mixed media presentation. Over the weekend, I got to go see some shows. I got to go to the Richmond Folk Festival once again. It is awesome. It's great. It's always fun to go see. And I got to see in whole or in part 5 different groups. I really wanted to get a CD by Vishten because I only got 1.5 of their songs, but they were pretty awesome. But I didn't get to. And I also saw an old reggae singer, Ross Michael, and his stuff was pretty cool. But I ended up going with a CD each for the other 3 acts I saw. And the first one, I'll be honest, the main reason I got a CD by this person instead of Vishten is that she said she was going to be at the merchandise booth, and I always love to get autographed stuff. I love to. So there was a bluegrass singer who was there last year as well, and I didn't get to see her last year, so it was nice this time around. Her name is Clair Lynch, and she did a very interesting concept album called North by South, where she took songs written by Canadians and did them in sort of a folksy, bluegrassy version. And she performed one during the show called Molly May that was sort of like a love song to a boat, basically. You know, because people really love their vehicles, you know.
Like the Saskatchewan Pirates.
Yes. She should have put some Arrogant Worms on here. I didn't even think about saying that. That would have been awesome. Last Saskatchewan Pirate or Carrot Juice's Murder or something. But whatever the case, she's a little more traditional in her music. But anyway, what's really cool is that you open it up and there you go. You got my little autograph there. That's always cool. Got the CD hiding in there somewhere.
I always hate the paper sleeves.
Yeah. They don't take up much space on the shelf, but you also can't store them this way, which is very annoying. But yeah, this was a cool way to kind of start it. I had planned to see her entire set, but something came up, and I'll get to that next. But I did see about 3/4 of it, and it was a good set, and it was nice. When I'm done, I'll talk about all the different genres, but I really did get to skip from genre to genre, which is very cool when you go to a music festival. Yeah.
So, for mine, I have a horror theme, and I'm going to have a horror theme for the rest of my pickups for these next couple of weeks. I only have one that does not fit the theme, and that's because I want to go ahead and talk about it, but that I'm saving for the end. So one of these is not like the others, and it's thankfully so, considering the quality of the ones I'm going to be showing. There may be an exception in this, but I can tell you that a number of them are not great. So we're going to start with a film called Amityville Prison. I am an Amityville collector. I collect almost any movie with the Amityville on it. And this is no exception. So, the premise of this film is that a bunch of people decide that they'll go to a prison with the offer of money from a friend who wants to do a paranormal, like, ghost hunting show from the prison. Of course, things don't go the way that they want. And there's a bit of a twist, which I'll admit, the twist is a little bit cool. It's something I wasn't expecting, but gosh. So, here's the deal. Skip forward 20 you guys, so you don't have to buy this stuff. So, once I start doing it, you can skip forward 20 seconds, and then you'll be fine. Ready? All right. The secret is it's not evil spirits. It's evil crackheads. Actually, meth heads that are killing people. Yep, and they're getting high off of the meth. So they're seeing things. That is the key. It's kind of different because I haven't really seen that twist to a ghost film, but still, this is going on my collection and probably won't be viewed again.
High praise indeed.
Isn't it?
All right, speaking of high praise, I cannot give high enough praise for this one. So the reason why I did not get to see all of her set, mostly I went to what you might call the main stage of the festival. Mm-hmm. The thing that sucks about music festivals, it's cool, but it sucks, is that there's lots of stages. And the way they set up at this particular one, you don't get much overlap, so you don't have to worry about the music. I mean, the way they're set up, they actually do a really good job with the acoustics. And people were talking enough that, there was enough background noise. Anyway, you couldn't have even known if you heard another band playing. But anyway, I noticed a particularly long gap between the act before Clair Lynch and her act. And I was like, that's a good time to get dinner. And I saw a Caribbean place earlier. I feel like getting some Caribbean. That sounds good. But then I was looking at the program, and I saw the name Reinhardt. And then I saw Gypsy Jazz, and I said, holy crap, is this person related to Django? And so I hightailed it over there for a set by Lulu Reinhardt, who also Daniel Stelter was with him. And yes, Lulu Reinhardt, this guy, is Django's great nephew, apparently. And Django Reinhardt is, of course, one of the greatest guitarists what ever lived, and a damn fine composer of music. And they cover one of his songs on this album called Nueges, I guess. Sorry. They also covered, and they covered live when I saw them, they covered Duke Ellington's Don't Mean a Thing, which is a swing classic, and I love it, and it's good times. All the other songs on here are original to one or the other. It's one of those things where I don't know why Stetler was not given billing, and it was just Lulu Reinhardt, because they were performing as a duo. But they were performing as a duo. They were both on acoustic guitar. And it was one of the better performance concerts I've ever been to. The only real major drawback was the location of the show was right next to a lot of food booths. And there were a lot of rude ass people sitting there right in front of the show, talking, and not watching the show. There were people there that wanted to hear music, but this was some really awesome music, and I am really thrilled that I got to see them, and I made a point to get one. Turned out this was the only album for Lulu Reinhardt they had. There was one Daniel Stelter had as a solo album, but I like to try and mix it up, so. But that alone made it worth going. But my next one will tell you the main reason I had to get over there. But it was a really fun festival, and again we got bluegrass, gypsy jazz, got some interesting bases covered.
All right, my number 2 is going to be one that I got out of sheer curiosity. Boy, totally different. We go in totally different ways here.
Yes.
All right, so I saw this a while back out of Absurd Films, and I like to check out lists of weird and absurd stuff because I like weird stuff. I mean, one of the films that's being recommended this week is going to be very odd when it comes to Horrorween. The Captain streaming has actually let me know what he's going to be doing, and it is also in the strange and interesting. But this one...
Why am I not surprised William Forsythe's in that?
Is called Hammerhead. Half man, half shark. Total terror.
Yes.
So, essentially, the idea is there is this guy, he's dying of a cancer or something like that. So, his mad scientist father decides he's going to combine him with shark DNA to form a vicious half-human, half-shark hybrid. And then
because what father wouldn't do that?
Mate with a human so that he can somehow get his human impulses back, and then make a further half shark, half human Superman hybrid that will somehow maybe it'll control sharkacanes or sharknadoes or something. I don't know really where he was going with that. It somehow turned into the most dangerous game, where he wanted to get revenge on all those who were naysayers and all that, and so lured them to his island and then let loose the shark guy on them to try and hunt them down. Yeah. And it was very absurdist, as you could tell, and it was interesting, but it did bore me in parts, which makes it an okay but not great film.
Isn't that something?
Well, I got a bunch of shining, wonderful things here.
All right. So, speaking of wonderful things, okay. So the reason why I went to the folk festival last year and it was awesome. And that was the main reason I wanted to go. And the weather over the weekend was phenomenal. So that's another reason I had to go. But the big reason was they had a genuine living legend playing. And I was like, well, I gotta go to that. And luckily I was able to leave work early and get there early. And again, I got there around the tail end of Ishtan, which again was it was Akkadian music. It was like basically like, that was really good. And I wish I could have heard more of it. But they were followed up by a blues gospel soul singer who has been in the business for close to 70 years. She's like, I think she's 79. She's very, and she can still sing. And that was Mavis Staples was there. And, of course, if you're not as familiar with her solo work, she, of course, was part of the Staples Singers back in the days. And they actually ended the concert with a take on a song that I had totally forgotten was originally by the Staples Singers. But they ended the show with I'll Take You There, which is a classic song from the 70s. They also did a cover, which apparently the Staples Singers long ago did a cover of a really, really awesome, I think it's Neil Young. They did this song. I can't ever remember the proper title, but it's the one that says, hey baby, what's that sound? Or,
I got you.
Yeah. So that's the... that I don't remember the proper title, but they did a cover of it, and so she did a cover of it on the show, and this album is from last year. This is like a brand new album. It's called If All I Was Black, and I don't know if she did any of these. I think she did. I think Build a Bridge was one of the ones she did. I'm not positive, but I think so. This album is produced by Jeff Tweedy, which of Wilco fame. So that's a very interesting idea in my mind. The idea of Tweedy, and he did a lot of the music too. Wow, he did a lot of the music. So that intrigues me. The two of them working together. I've heard a lot of stuff over the years where Mavis Staples did like the background vocals, or I've heard some of her solo work over the years. She has a powerful voice. And again, I was impressed at how well it's held up over the years. She's gotten very rough sounding, but if you've been singing for 70 years, you're going to sound a little rough around the edges. But but that was really impressive. And the final act of the show I saw was Ross Michael. So basically I had Acadian music, old school soul blues, gypsy jazz, bluegrass, and old school reggae. I mean, that's not bad for one night that I didn't have to pay. Well, I had to pay for the food, and the food was expensive. But
as they always are.
well, yeah. But I mean, otherwise, and the CDs were expensive. I mean, they were $15 each. But that's still the concert itself. The idea of a free concert, especially when you get all those people together, that's pretty cool. So hopefully they will just be even better with each year, you know?
So this is the last of the 3 that I got that are out of print. All of them are out of print. And all of them are oddball films. The second to last will be an oddball film, but not out of print. And I haven't seen it yet. But I've seen these 3. So the last one, I got this, and this is what got me to go ahead and get the other 2, is just the name. Yes, stupid teenagers must die.
Warning, excessive violence and gratuitous nudity.
I mean, with a tagline like that, you gotta go, you gotta, enjoy it. I really wanted to like this film. I mean, I really wanted to like this film. But I didn't. And it was boring.
Oh.
It was about a seance that went wrong in a haunted house. And some zombie stuff thrown in. And I kept zoning out because it was boring.
He's boring.
You think that something with this as the title would not be boring? Stupid, yes, but boring, no. What's wrong with you? I'm not even sure I can do a review on this one because I can't remember half of it. Then I watched it again and I still can't remember half of it because it's just
have to watch it again.
Maybe it'll be a good sleep aid. I don't know. I really want to like this. Somebody in the comments tell me why this is a great movie so I can rewatch it and like this. Stupid teenagers must die. Now, I agree with that.
All right. Actually, my next thing apparently was made by people who fully agree with that commentary. I'm actually bringing in something that I think he gave me last year this time, I believe. I think you upgraded. And this is really, I'm kind of cheating and showing a whole franchise, but what the hell. And I don't know if I'll get a chance to launch into these this month. I kind of want to because it is the season.
But some of them are hard to watch.
Oh, yeah, I know. Ugh.
But the first one's a classic.
The first one is a classic that I already owned. But anyway, I have 4 film favorites. I know. 4 film favorites. A Nightmare on Elm Street films 1 through 4.
Woo.
4 film favorites. A Nightmare on Elm Street 5 through 8. And A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake.
So, and the 8th one is Freddy versus Jason.
Yes.
So it depends on where you are.
We've got A Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and Freddy vs. Jason.
Now, admittedly, Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the ways that Johnny Depp got his start.
Oh, that was his first film.
And he did return briefly for Freddy's Dead.
Right.
So it's worth it for that if you're a big Johnny Depp fan.
Right. Did he actually return, or was that archival footage?
No, he did.
Oh,
He came back as an interview.
Okay.
He didn't play the same character, obviously, because that character died.
Obviously.
But still.
And of course, these are notable as one of the things that put Robert Englund really on the map was this. Of course, this one, I think Jackie Earle Haley plays the role. And Haley also does creepy very well.
Yeah, they changed the character around a bit.
Yeah.
They originally had wanted the Freddy to be a child molester. But the censors didn't think that would be good enough. So they said, no, he has to be a child killer instead, so we can tamp it down a little bit. Killing children's much better, yes. I guess. I
mean, again, it's that stupid American thing where sex is bad, okay? But kill all you want.
Yeah, kill them, that's fine. But
makes no sense.
Then they actually went back and...
Not that I'm trying to say that either of those is a good option.
Really.
No. But
no. They did revisit that and made him the more of the child rapist he was, and the remake. And which makes sense. I mean, that's really where I thought it was vibes. You could tell that was really where they wanted to go with it, but they couldn't do it. So, man, that's interesting. And New Nightmare was a great take on it.
Right.
And then, of course, Freddy vs. Jason. When you have the Freddy vs. Jason fights in it, it is great.
Now, I have to say this though. I had a random thought the other night because I just went through the 4 Scream movies. And they have a pretty impressive cast for horror films. But some of those include cameos by famed horror icons.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there thinking, where is Robert Englund? Why didn't he show up? And it got me thinking, do you know anything, if anything ever came of that film they were talking about, of the Expendables for horror that was supposed to have Bruce Campbell?
That'd be interesting.
Because if you had that, you'd have to have Bruce Campbell, Robert Englund, and... couple others to
Wes
start.
Craven's, of course, no longer with us. I don't think.
All right. No, yeah, you're right. I think he did pass recently.
So, and that's kind of sad. But,
that is sad.
Still one of the masters of horror.
Yeah.
All right. So this one is interesting. I want to see it. And this one is related to our night talks that we do on Tuesdays. Of course, stay tuned this week. If you haven't watched it already, go back and check it out. We are covering Inside Movies Galore is covering the movie Trick or Treat. Not Trick or Treat. That we did last year. If you go in our archives, you can find that one. But this one is Trick or Treat. I like that one better.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will enjoy our discussion. All right, so speaking of, we have Wrestle Massacre.
Oh, you got it.
Which I'm guessing is about a murderous wrestler. So this is produced by David Strege, which is one of our big people on Movies Galore. So I had to go ahead and get a hold of this, and I got some of the other stuff from Fuzzy Monkey as well. Yeah, I know, it's an interesting stuff, and I liked one of the few things I've seen by them, so I will be curious. But let's see here if he's on here. Yes, right here under executive producers. So check it out. If you haven't, look up Fuzzy Monkey's site. You can just type it into your search engine and buy some copies. Support Movies Galore.
I'm wondering from looking at that if that will be one I will end up being able to watch.
I'll have to tell you once I see it.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know.
Eventually I plan on
I know he's proud of it, so
He was very proud of it, so we'll see how it is. It looks interesting, if anything.
Well, speaking of interesting, if anything, I went ahead and included one additional film on a very different end, theoretically, of the quality scale, although from what I hear, this is more in theory than anything. I did get a few more. I've mentioned before the eBay auctions for Criterion. And I tell you, the dude put up a whole bunch more Blu-rays today or yesterday, and I think I may have to write those off because now people know about it. They're getting pretty expensive. It's frustrating, but one of the last ones I was able to get, and I got 5 that I will be presenting sometime in the next few weeks. But there was one random one that I ended up getting by itself, and because of that, it was the most expensive one other than Brazil, and I'm a little ticked about that, but whatever. It's a film by Takashi Murakami. It's his first feature film, and it's got a middling rating, so I really don't know exactly why Criterion picked it for release, but it looks interesting, and it's a film called Mememe no Kurage, or Jellyfish Eyes. You can look at that cover. That's very weird looking.
I ended up picking it up because of the cover myself.
Yeah. It does not have that many bonus features. It has a few. But what's even weirder is that the director has done at least 2 short films, and they're not on here. Although one of them, I think he did a film about or for or involving somehow Kanye West. So it's probably just as well that that's not on here. But this is another example of they probably should have waited a little bit before they did a Criterion treatment. Yeah. But it looks fun. And I am always interested in getting these films. But I will have to say, this one, I read a review about this where someone apparently had more time than I did, who apparently was a big fan of Japanese cinema, and they pointed out a stat that I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but if it is, for shame, Criterion, for shame. He said that they have done, I think, 191 Japanese films by Criterion.
Wow.
That's a lot. This is the part that sucked. He pointed out that there are 2 out of that number that are dated after the year 2000.
Wow.
This one came out in 2013, and I believe it is Still Walking, which is a film by Hirokazu Koreeda that was 2008. And that's it. If only Koreeda's work. If only Koreeda, they should at least have more than 2. Koreeda did Nobody Knows, which is a phenomenal film. And he did a couple more recent ones I have seen and a couple older ones I haven't. And that's just talking live action. And that's just talking Koreeda. Battle Royale should probably have a Criterion release. There are several anime that date from that time frame that should have a Criterion release. And of course, you've heard my railing against animation. But that baffled me. 190 pre-2000, 2 after. It really does make it sound like Criterion thinks the only Japanese cinema worth having is older Japanese cinema. And they literally release everything. I mean, we've seen some of those older films. They're like House, Good Morning. I mean, some of those are really random.
This is a group that released Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
That's a whole other ball.
Armageddon. And this is like...
well, granted, those were prior to 2000 as well, but... I mean, you get your German films, your French films, whatever. They put them out the year they come out. The Lore.
Anything Wes Anderson.
Anything Wes Anderson, exactly. So, yeah, I noticed if that person was right, that is a major oversight for them. But I'm curious to know why this was one of the 2. So,
the last one I got is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for this because I really do not like the way that they package this series. And I finally found it for $40. And that was the complete Futurama.
That's actually a pretty nice little set.
It's not the best packaging in the world. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But if you compare it to the paper sleeves that everything else comes in, I mean, this is not bad. It's a little bit more protecting of what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the newer art. This is the Canadian release because the American release also comes in the paper. This though it says in a lot of the descriptions it includes the films, it does not include the films. So you got to keep the films. And all but one of the films, Bender's Big Score, only comes in the paper case, though you can upgrade to Blu-ray with a regular Blu-ray case for the other three. But this allows me to protect the series. I've finally been able to see the whole series. Futurama is an awesome series. This is a great set. It saves a lot of space on what I had. It's well worth having in any collection. It is probably one of the better works of this person. And The Simpsons was good, but The Simpsons has kind of gone on a little bit too long.
This person, I'm sure you're meaning Matt Groening.
Yeah.
I think, is it David X. Cohen, who's also the co-creator of this one? And Disenchanted. I think Cohen is the X factor there because he wasn't as involved in The Simpsons, but he was more involved in this one and The
Simpsons is a great series. Don't get me wrong, but again,
it's past its sell-by date.
It's past its time. I think really it could have ended at like season 10, and we would have been fine.
Now the movie was great, but that's a good example of like they marshaled all the troops. And they said, okay, we want this to be awesome, you know. And the movie was a definite uptick in quality. But, yeah.
But $40 ain't bad for this.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to wrap up. It's getting late. So, of course, if you like this film or whatever. Subscribe. Comment. What have you picked up? What's good that you've managed to get a hold of this time around? And, of course... share.
Yes, indeed.
And we will see you on the next one.